Hello everyone, this is Sia Bhide and I'm back with the final episode from the series The Panchakanyas, this time with Draupadi. Draupadi's birth is special as she emerged from the Putra Kameshti Yagna's Havanakunda in King Drupada's palace. In her earlier birth, she was a seer named Maudgalya's wife and her name was Nalayani. She was said to be tested by her husband when he developed a disease, most probably leprosy, to see if she was a virtuous and devoted wife, which she did. It is said that when her husband later abandoned her, of which I will tell in some other episode, she prayed to Lord Shiva and asked for 14 qualities from a single man to be her husband in her next life. When Lord Shiva said it could not happen and that he would have to grant this wish, but only in the form of 5 husbands, she questioned the Lord about a woman's chastity. The Lord reassured her, saying that she would regain her virginity whenever she takes a bath. Satisfied, the woman was later brought to Panchala by Lord Agni as Krishna, the dark-hued woman. She had 3 brothers, Drishtadyumna, Shikhandi and Satyajit. She was destined to be the cause of a great war and to be Arjuna's wife. But because of the Varnavrata incident, Drupada was not sure whether the Pandavas were alive or not. At this Vayamvar, a Brahmin boy won the competition, thereby winning Draupadi's hand in marriage. The young boy was later revealed to be Arjuna himself. The Pandavas escorted Arjuna's new bride to their small hut in the outskirts of the city of Panchala and decided to prank their mother by saying, "Mother, look what we brought." Kunti, mistaking the thing to be alms or food, said, "Whatever it is, I want you all to share it equally." So, Draupadi was then asked to marry all the 5 brothers. After a few years, when the Pandavas were ruling Indraprastha, Shakuni and Duryodhana challenged Dharmaraja for a game of dice. The stakes, which were initially of no value, started building value, and Yudhishthira ultimately sold his brothers and then himself to the Kauravas. When the dice rolled yet again, Draupadi was sold as a mere servant without her knowledge. Duryodhana ordered Dushasana to drag Draupadi to the court of the great Hastinapur. Dushasana went to the inner chambers of the women's quarters where Draupadi was. Draupadi, who was on her monthly periods, was in the inner chambers of the women's quarters draped in a single cloth. But Dushasana had no mercy. He dragged her by her hair and pushed her towards Duryodhana. As Draupadi spoke, her voice resonated across the courtroom. "On what grounds was I treated as an animal? Who in his sense would drag a menstruating woman by her hair to the courtroom?" Duryodhana guffawed and told her that she was now the Kaurava's slave and that her own husband had pledged her. Shocked, Panchali questioned Yudhishthira whether he had pledged her after or before he was sold, for which she was met with an ominous silence. She joined her hands and pleaded to the elders in the courtroom of the great and just king of Hastinapura, King Dhritarashtra, but nobody uttered a word. Nobody except Vikarna, the third Kaurava, who could not stand the humiliation meted out to Panchali. Karna too humiliated her by bad mouthing her in front of the court of the royal Hastinapur. The whole courtroom watched as Duryodhana ordered Dushasana to disrobe Draupadi, which he did by pulling Draupadi's only piece of clothing. Draupadi immediately joined her hands and prayed to Lord Krishna, who is said to have given her a never-ending sari. That is, whenever Dushasana pulled a yard of sari, another yard of sari would be added to it. This was because during Yudhishthira's Rajasuya Yagna, Shishupala, Krishna's cousin, had crossed the line when he insulted Krishna for the 100th time, and Krishna killed him using his Sudarshana Chakra. But Krishna's finger started bleeding as the chakra had cut his little finger. Without wasting time, Draupadi tore her pallu and tied it to his finger, attempting to stop the bleeding. After this episode, Draupadi asked for her husband's freedom and left to the forest on exile, not before pledging to not tie her hair, and would do so only after bathing it with the Kaurava's blood. Later, in the forest, Jayadratha, Dushala's husband, who is the Kaurava's only sister, happened to see Draupadi in a sage's hut, waiting for her husbands. Jayadratha was charmed by her ethereal beauty and proposed to marry her. Draupadi disagreed, angering Jayadratha, for which he kidnapped her. But the Pandavas soon rescued her and fought with Jayadratha. Draupadi stopped the Pandavas from killing Jayadratha. So, Bhima sent Jayadratha back to his kingdom after shaving his head and leaving only 5 tufts of hair. During the last year of exile, the Pandavas had to be in disguise. So, Draupadi accepted the identity of a hairdresser, Sairandri, to Queen Suseshana by the name Malini. There she was lusted by Kichaka, Queen Susheshna's brother, whom Bhima killed using his mighty strength. She was said to have had 5 sons from the 5 Pandavas, and they were called the Upapandavas. They were Prativindya from Yudhishthira, Sutasoma from Bhima, Shrutakarma from Arjuna, Shatanika from Nakula, and Shrutasena from Sahadeva. The Upapandavas and Drishtadumna, their uncle, died when Ashwathama, Dronacharya's son, set fire to their camp, thereby avenging his father's death. After the war of Kurukshetra, she washed her hair with the Kaurava's blood and assumed the throne of Hastinapur alongside Yudhishthira as his empress. She was said to be a very good empress. She was responsible for the kingdom's treasury and also created citizen liaisons for the betterment of Hastinapur. After ruling the kingdom of Hastinapur for many glorious years, the Pandavas, along with Panchali, gave up the throne to Parikshit, the grandson of Arjuna, and proceeded towards the Himalayas for their final journey. Draupadi is said to have toppled from the mountain first, as she had been partial to Arjuna among the Pandavas. Other versions say that she was seen seated in the throne of goddess Shri of prosperity by Yudhishthira himself. She was said to be a woman of grit, power, beauty, virtue, and good substance. She is still hailed as Draupadi Amman by many people in South India and has more than 400 temples dedicated to her. Hope you liked the video. If you did, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I'll be back with a new mythology series from the next week. Until then, stay safe, stay happy.